Hello, welcome to our webinar series entitled Psychological and Sociological Challenges to Education in this time of the pandemic. I'm Kevin and I'll be guiding you to our first topic, technology, learning, and stress. I hope you guys pick up a couple of thoughts in my presentation. Well, a couple or two will do. Okay, before I begin, I hope you guys bear with me because I tend to combine or mix Filipino and English in my presentation. Well, my goal is to convey a message, and some of my stories are better off heard using our local language. Kaya sa mga language geeks dyan, I know I'll make your ears bleed, but my goal is to communicate with the majority. And also, I have this coffee beside me, so I hope you don't mind that I'd be taking a sip or two as I go on with my slides. So with that, let's begin. I want to start this presentation with my story. Well, working from home is an absolute mess when it comes to our social lives. Lalo na pag teacher ka kasi sanay na sanay ka sa tao eh. 'Di ba? Kaya whenever I have this engagement opportunity, ang dami kong naipong kwento. Sobrang dami that I usually take a good chunk of my time whenever nag-i-introduce pa lang ako sa sarili ko. So, to make this less boring, let me play a bit of royalty-free na background music. Para lang kayo nanonood ng life coach sa TikTok. Okay. Okay there. Yan. So, our story begins with the context of the pandemic scenario and kung paano ano eh. So, let me give you a bit of background of myself during that time. 2019, fresh grad pa lang ako sa URS, and it was my first year of teaching. As to all guys or girls there who just recently graduated, we have this kind of spending habit where we don't actually care about the future because it's like our first time to spend our own money. It's also the case that most of us ay wala pang responsibilities kaya we manage to spare a good amount of our incomes, our time to ourselves. Para naman dun sa mga breadwinner, lalong wala yung natitirang pera. In short, yung generation namin, yung batch namin, are those who technically have no emergency fund. And worse, pag nilagay mo kami sa teaching career, pag graduate mo, magte-take ka lang ng let around September. So, gumraduate ka, nagturo ka, pero hindi ka pa professional teacher. With license, of course. Kaya, most likely yung career mo, non-tenure. Proby ka pa lang. So, more or less likely, wala pa sa aming permanent. Yung iba mong classmate, ngayon pa lang nagkaka-tenure kasi na-admit na sila sa public school. Or medyo 1 year lang yung proby period sa mga private schools. Well, di ko pinlano magpanang sa public kasi maganda naman yung work culture sa Maris at competitive din naman yung salary doon eh in comparison to public schools. Well, bonus din yung may bayad yung extra load mo. Unlike pag nasa public school ka na TY na lang. So, in summary, kami yung walang tenure, walang kasiguraduhan. Now, that's for our background. Now, our story begins with December 2019. Andiyan na yung mga kumakalat sa internet na balita about Wuhan virus. Well, around December 2019, kumalat na yung virus in Europe, Japan, Korea. Sila yung mga unang nadali ng nCoV eh. And around January 2020, eto na, nasa Pinas na yan, nCoV. Well, January 30, 2020, NCOV has officially traveled to our country via a Chinese woman. From here on, we know that it's getting worse. Nandiyan na yung naging complacent sa restrictions yung administration natin. Ang mahalas pa noon, magka-Chinese New Year around February. Tapos, ang taas na volume ng transport to and from China. Pero, wala pa nang ginawang travel restrictions. So, from there on, kabado na tayo. Yung tipong hindi ako seryoso sa magiging career path ko for the next 5 years, 10 years. Pero this time, it became serious. Nakikita natin na pa 2020 na, pa 50-50 na, going to 100 na yung na-infect daily. Well, as someone who doesn't care with the future, because I'm living off comfortably with my work, medyo na-shaken yung composure ko, and I know na yung batch ko ang unang mayayari dito if ever na magsara ang schools. Lalo na sa nangyayari sa Europe, Korea at Japan. The first thing they did was closure of schools. Middle of March, nag-announce ng lockdowns. And this definitely includes schools. The prior announcements that it'll only last around 2 weeks. Pero, syempre, na-extend hanggang terminate na yung school year. Nung nag-memo na sa amin about fast-tracking ng grades, I felt saddened. Na di ko man lang na-experience yung buong school year ko with my students. First time ko yun towards the end of school. I know I managed to establish myself as a good teacher, so I'm expecting a good response nung natapos yung school year. Pero, it didn't end it. We haven't shown our goodbyes. Di nila na-experience yung pinaghirapan kong final exam na magpapahirap din sa kanila. Yung mga kabadang babagsak, wala na chance na bumawi sa final exam. Well, ang laki ng curve ng virus na to. But the thing is, we should move on. Now, the scariest thing happened. Maganda yung naging takbo ng enrollment halos ma-reach natin yung expected target. Kagaya last year. Almost 25 million yung nag-enroll. So, what's the issue here? Sa public school, wala kasi they have reached their expected load. Pero for private schools, if we look at this data, only 50% lang ng dati nilang enrollees ang nag-enroll. Now, if we know that, we know that the population proportion is the best estimate for sample proportion. And it goes both ways. Sample proportion can estimate population proportion. In short, we should expect the number of enrollees in our school to be around these numbers, around 50% lang. And the thing about private school is that pag nangalahati yung enrollees mo, kalahati rin tuition mo, kalahati rin budget mo. Kalahati lang din mapapasahod mong guro. In short, kami na pinaka-vulnerable, kami na mga bago. Siguradong tegi. And as expected, my teaching stint at Mari School is cut short. Pero syempre di naman ako sore loser kasi in-anticipate ko na to, and sometimes I treat it more as a blessing for myself. I know it's kinda selfish kasi siguro isa ako dun sa nag-benefit ngayong pandemic na instead na lalong humirap, mas gusto ko yung naging scenario ngayon. Mas gusto ko yung naging setup ng work ko ngayon. Now, dahil in-anticipate ko na mawawala ng trabaho, March pa lang naghanap na ako ng opportunities online na bagay sa akin. It's a good thing. Nag-graduate ako ng BSc Math at pagka-graduate ko, nag-MA kaagad ako. Right now, patapos na rin ako second year sa graduate school. So, makukumpleto ko na rin yung ACADS ko sa MA. So, ang nakita kong viable na field para sa akin ay data analytics. Kasi wala naman siyang specific course requirement eh. Applicable siya sa math, engineering, computer science, econ, business, others. So, I have to study online and learn a new program entirely. But what's good about data analytics? The good thing with this is like it has been an extension of what I've been learning so far. You have to learn advanced stuff, which has been an easy pick up kasi teacher ka ng math, minsan tinuturo mo pa nga to. Second is linear algebra and multivariate calculus. Luckily, I'm enrolled at these courses sa URS habang nag-MA ako. Pero the thing is, hindi siya puro ganitong swerteng-swerte na madali kang makakapag-adapt. Because the last requirements for data analytics is programming. Wala akong kaalam-alam dito, so I have to start learning from scratch. As in. Pero syempre, may pagkamayabang ako na alam kong kaya ko to in a short span of time. And the same way na humble din ako na alam kong I have to start with the basics kasi alam ko yung level ko eh. Malaking bagay dito yung pagiging teacher ko kasi na-apply ko yung pedagogy sa para mabilis ako matuto, para mabilis ko matutunan yung kailangan kong matutunan. So while learning, ang naging best friend ko dito ay yung YouTube. Titiisin mo talaga English ng mga Indians kasi sila yung maraming tutorials online about math and programming. Tapos, if I want to go in depth, I search ebooks on Google. Marami rin akong nahanap na libraries, e-libraries na libre. So, yun. Naging ganun ang daily grind ko for about 2 months before ako masabak sa production. Kasi kailangan mong combination na ito kasi sa YouTube ang tinuturo lang skills eh. Kumbaga matututo ka mag-implement. Pero para mas mapabilis yung learning process mo, mahalaga rin na matutunan mo yung foundations niya. So, ayun. Tapos ito ba, that time nag-open yung opportunity na sa DOST. They partnered with Coursera, so Filipino workers na nasa industry, mga nawalan ng trabaho, are given the chance to enroll courses in Coursera. And there, I took advantage of it. Nag-enroll ako sa mga data science course, data analytics course, sa machine learning course. And luckily, natutunan ko yung machine learning. Maski yung simplest algorithms lang nito yung medyo master ko na mga unsupervised learning procedures kung kailan siya ginagamit. Pero don't get me wrong kasi iba pa rin yung inaral mo sa university eh. Very limited pa rin yung alam ko dito. Pero at least it's enough para magawa ko siyang racket kasi di naman lahat kailangan ng advanced techniques eh. Pero when it comes to statistical test, I know I'm industry ready. So right now, I'm doing these rackets. Nandun ako sa data analysis. Tumutulong ako sa mga university students na i-analyze and research nila using different programming language. Nandiyan na yung paraket-raket ako sa Fiverr, sa Upwork to implement machine learning models. Siyempre, ikaw rin yung mag-generate ng machine learning model na yan. And lastly, it's less like a work na kaya mong kumita kasi creating website drains money instead of generates money. So yeah, nag-produce kami ng website. Okay, what did I realize from this experience? Una, madali nang matuto ng libre ngayon. Andiyan na sa harap mo lahat ng resources na kailangan mo. Ang kailangan mo lang matutunan, syempre, yung maghanap. Because almost all lessons and books are on the internet. Medyo nakakatakot ka itong statement na to para sa ating mga teacher, di ba? Kasi career natin to eh. Kasi tayo supposedly yung expertise dito eh. Ngayon, parang may mas viable na option na nagko-compete dito sa domain natin eh. Sometimes think about this. YouTube videos tend to give better lecture than us. Well, how did I came to this exposition? Imagine, some of us try to integrate YouTube lessons in their discussions kasi mas maiintindihan mo dun eh. Yung iba naman, manonood muna nito bago sila mag-instruct. Well, there are even times na nililink na lang talaga nila to. Yung mga gawa ng mga kakilala nila, nililink nila sa klase nila as reference. In short, instruction-wise, parang nanganganib na tayo against that growing field of content developers in different streaming platforms kasi parang mas magaling sila magturo eh. Parang mas madali mo na i-gets pag naka-video instruction ka eh. Well, it leads us to this thinking. Kailangan pa ba tayo para matuto ang bata? Kasi ilatag mo lang dyan yung curriculum. Tapos gawan mo ng auto-checker assessment. Mapapaisip ka talaga eh. Are we still needed? Well, to answer this, let me go back to my story kasi parang masyado nating fast-track na natuto ka agad ako eh. Una, hindi naman naging smooth yung pag-aaral. Nandiyan naman yung nananamlay ka mag-aral. Nandiyan yung kahit balik-balikan mo yung lecture, yung instruction, wala pa rin pumapasok eh. And take note, teacher ako. And when it comes to academics, hindi naman ako siguro nandun sa laylayan. Wala ako dun sa outliers ng mga peligro. So, no matter how good you are, meron magiging problema. At dito ko na-miss yung presence ng isang teacher or professor sa troubleshooting. Kasi if we ask ourselves, are these self-learning modules, books, videos sufficient? The answer would not be the same for all. Merong kaya i-accomplish yun ng gamit. Pero mas marami yung hindi. Kasi ito yung mga problema. Merong tatama rin. Merong mamomblema sa content niyan kahit masipag siya. And higit sa lahat, lalo na sa modular distance learning. Marami dyan mangungopya lang. And that's a sad fact. So yan, with that narrative, nakita natin in my experience kung saan ba talaga kailangan ng teacher. Yung tipong hindi pa siya kaya palitan ng kahit anong LMS dyan. And it's problem solving. Only teachers are able to fill gaps sa learning process. Tayo yung kaya gumawa ng solusyon kapag nahihirapan ng bata. Tayo yung kayang gumawa ng solusyon kapag tinatamad na magtrabaho yung bata. Tayo din yung kaya gumawa ng solusyon kapag nagre-resort na sa pandaraya yung bata para ma-accomplish na yung task. We have this power. We even have this subtle ability to intimidate students na may tendency na mandaya. To this end, let's try to reflect on this. Ano ba yung typical convo natin with our students? Marami dyan yung tipong naghahanapan. Na, nagpasa ka na ba ng ganitong activity? Anak, kulang na ka na ito pasa mo na kagad. Kung medyo masungit yung tone. Oy, Mr. Guanzon, kulang-kulang yung sinabmit mo, ma-INC ka. Or, just be straightforward, INC ka, unless ayusin mo to. Meron din yung mga makukulit or naniniguro pag nagpasa sila. So like sa GC, ma'am, nagpasa na po ako, or sunod-sunod yung responses nila, done. Done na po, ma'am. Mga ganyan. That's the typical conversation with our students ngayon. Pero, have you had this type of convo? Bibihira na yung ganito eh. Ma'am, pwede ba ako magpaturo uli ng lesson? Di ko pa kasi nag-gets eh. I know, nagaganap to during instruction. Pero very limited time na lang yung natitira doon. Kasi naubos na sa lecture natin, sa discussion natin, yung oras para sa synchronous meet. Pwede din ito maging convo kung close kayo ng estudyante during face-to-face pa, kasi mas mahirap ma-establish yung rapport ngayong online eh. Or sa mga dati mong students na hindi mo estudyante ngayon, na ka-close mo. Kasi napaisip rin ako bakit hindi ito tinatanong, bakit hindi ito nire-request sa atin estudyante. Baka ramdam rin nila na medyo drained na din tayo. Kaya instead na tayo tanongin nila, ang final resort nila humingi ng solution sa kaklase nila. Well, it's a bad thing na hindi ito yung naging practice ngayon eh. Pero pag tinanong mo naman tayo, would we respond positively to that? O madalas na ang sagot rin natin, sige, i-research mo na lang yan. But take note, this is our actual job to ensure learning. At ito yung pinakamalaking manifestation ng pagkatuto, yung ma-clarify yung isang concept. Medyo nabulag kasi tayo na yung trabaho natin is to produce effective instructions. Kaya malaking focus natin ay kung paano gumawa ng lesson and not troubleshooting. Halimbawa, pag may COT tayo, ano ang mini-measure doon? Di ba yung competency mo to produce instructions? Hindi naman yung ability mo to resolve problems kasi paano mo yung i-demonstrate? Paano mo siya i-demo? We just have to remind ourselves with this famous line. Learning is not a one-size-fits-all scenario. Kaya yung ability mo to resolve issues would be your best weapon to maximize learning. Pero bakit nag-focus tayo sa instruction, sa paggawa ng instructional materials, pagtuturo? Kasi using instructional prowess, maraming portion ng learners natin nang nakaka-adapt doon eh. Marami tayong natutulungan eh. And that's good kasi na-maximize natin yung oras natin through instruction. Pero we are kind of missing a certain part. Mas kailangan tayo ng mahina or mga slow. Kasi an average student can learn in his or her own. Kahit sino pang teacher yan, kahit bigyan mo lang yung material. Pero yung mga slow or mahina yung student, ang magiging resort niyan ay mga ngopya or magpapagawa sa iba. Or pag hopeless na, mawala ang gana sa task. At with a degree on teaching, on education, ilang units ba naman tayo sa Prof Ed na ipasa rin natin yung Prof Ed sa LET. Kaya tayo experts din eh. Kaya nating i-treat yung ganitong problema ng mundo eh. Pero di natin mabigyan ng oras dahil medyo ubos na rin tayo sa instructions. Tapos paggawa pa ng ibang paperwork na hindi related sa pagtuturo, which is another issue, pero we won't be dealing with that here. Well, lagay mo na yung context natin sa ODL, sa online distance learning, kasi mas malaking issue to sa sa modular distance learning na makikita mo lang yung response ng estudyante mo pag andyan na yung module nila, binalik na nila yung sagot nila. At hindi mo naman na-monitor kung sila mismo yung gumawa na nila. At kung ano yung naging proseso nila ng pagsagot. At higit pa doon, paano naman yung feedback natin? Now, ask yourselves, is this some way related to technology? Well, yes. Kasi as I move with this presentation, we will find out that yung time na i-invest natin in building our technological prowess, our technological skills, yung effort na nilalaan dito, ay nakadepende din sa priority natin when it comes to education, which at some point becomes detrimental to our actual goal. Because some technology is particularly used to lessen the burden. Kaya kung medyo nahihirapan sila mag-adapt din sa mga in-apply mong technological procedures, baka nagkakamali kang maggamit ng technology. But technology is basically used to make things easier. To look at this, let's try to look at these trends, tech trends. Now, from dating paggawa ng sulat, ngayon nauso na emails. Yung pagpapabook mo dun sa traveling agency manually or tatawagan mo through phone, hindi na natin kailangan travel agent. Nandiyan na sa website nung airline yung available na flights. Pag gagawa tayo ng video or gusto na i-publish yung content, dadaan pa tayo sa mga publishing giants, mga media giants. Pero ngayon, pwede na i-host yung sarili nating channel or i-host yung sarili nating website. For us teachers. But minsan maghahanap ka ng jowa through common friend. O, pakilala mo naman ako dyan. Pero ngayon, it becomes easier with these dating apps. And a stranger is just a message away through other social media sites. Then, look at these trends. What's happening? If we go back here, from manual mailing, nawala yung kartero. From travel booking, nawala yung travel agency. Sa content publishing, hindi na natin kailangan dumaan sa media giants. Auto-publish na. Sa paghahanap ng jowa, hindi na kailangan dumaan sa common friend. So, basically, the medium is removed. So, mas nagiging direct yung transaction, mas nagiging direct tayo sa objective. Well, by removing the medium, nagagawa na ng mag-isa yung objective. Kasi yung objective yung focus eh. Halimbawa, yung objective sa pagpapadala ng mail ay yung mabasa yung message mo dun ang isang party nung sinesendan mo. And that process, dispensable naman yung role ng kartero eh. It's not like saying na tatanggalan mo siyang trabaho ng means of living kasi yun lang kaya. Pero pwede ma-upgrade yung trabaho niya dahil hindi na naman doon dumadaan yung process eh. Well, dito, hindi ko na sinasabi na dispensable yung trabaho ng teacher eh. It's just that in the instructional process, baka pwede nating i-direct yung bata sa tamang technology para ma-instruct ng lesson because as I've said, nandyan na yung lesson eh, nandyan na yung instructions. Ang nagiging system kasi, we usually conduct Google Classrooms to still teach. Just like this. I'm giving a lecture where in fact, pwede ko naman itong i-upload na lang sa YouTube. Let's say nasa online classroom tayo, limited oras. I'm giving this lecture, pwede ko naman itong i-upload sa YouTube para panoorin ng bata in his or her time. Well, we are wasting our time na gamitin yung konting time natin sa synchronous para makapagturo pa rin. What if assignment na lang natin to? Well, unlike this one, halimbawa, hindi ko original yung content at general naman yung content at merong available na nakapackage na online na kumpletong lesson. Would I still teach the same thing? I guess not. Pwede naman na nating i-direct sila dun sa mismo lesson, baka mas matutunan pa nila yan eh. Maybe it's just our ego telling us na ay hindi niya kakayanin ng bata. Pero there is some truth to it. Baka hindi talaga nila kayanin, pero hindi na pwede i-generalize na hindi nila kakayanin lahat. Merong aspects na siguro kayanin nila. Kaya nga ang issue ko dito, what if mag-focus lang tayo dun sa di nila nakayanan? Okay? Instead of wasting our time trying to teach stuff na pwede nila ma-access online and then reteach it all over again dahil hindi nila kinayanan. Or something na ituturo natin which is available online na kaya naman pala nila on their own. Sana nagpahinga na sila or nag-advanced lesson lang tayo. Well, in fact, hindi na natin kailangan mag-lecture for the average. And in that end, we will manage the gaps of learning. Okay, so after talking about the trends in education, tingnan natin kung ano ba yung mga naging advancement natin. Andyan yung mga presentation software, iba-iba na. Dati PowerPoint lang eh. Nag-evolve sa video na minsan yung presentation natin. Minsan naka-doodle art pa. Ginagamitan natin ng mga video editing software like Filmora, Adobe Premiere. Nag-evolve na rin yung digital design natin. Dati pa border lang tayo sa Manila paper. Tapos, ang meeting natin dahil virtual na. Uso na yung Google Meet, iba't ibang meeting platforms. Marami na yan. Ito yung medyo exciting. Yung assessment natin, nagiging laro na. So, nag-enjoy yung bata. Lastly, yung mga LMS, which compiles our record. Kaya, yung organization natin ng mga papers and documents, naging mas madali. And let's try to look at the things na ginagamit natin bago itong mga tech trends na to. Una, yung Blackboard as replacement for presentation softwares. Second, yung dating mga digital design ngayon, dati lettering lang sa mga border ng Manila paper. Tapos, ngayon yung streaming classrooms natin naging siya lang yung replacement sa mga dati nating classroom kung saan namin minimake yung estudyante. Yung mga exams natin nag-evolve into games. Tapos, yung class record natin and other stuff, attendance, mga listahan ng materials na organized na sa LMS. In this end, yung mga naging technological advancement natin are some sort of alternatives to our old ways. And ang focus niya pa rin is in instruction. Well, we are still trying to emulate our own classroom in an online setup. So, the old ways remain despite having a different context. So, yung mga dati na yung problema, andito pa din. Dumagdag pa yung bagong problema pinapresent ng paggamit ng ganitong setup. Una sa lahat, what if mabagal yung internet? Or hindi stable yung data connection ng bata? habang nag-online assessment. Paano pa dito yung mga hardware problems? Plus, yung mga dating problema pa rin. Nagkokopyahan, nagchichikahan, which nag-evolve lalo ngayon kasi magpatay ng camera, hindi mo na alam ginagawa niya eh. Maski naka-on yung camera niyan, hindi mo alam ginagawa niya sa ibang tab eh. So basically, this is not an upgrade. What we are doing here is implementing our old ways to a new environment, in an online environment, which doesn't really fit this online setup where you cannot fully control a learner's environment. Sa school, pwede yun, effective yun. Kasi nakakulong sila sa loob ng classroom sa loob ng school. Ang dami nating nagmo-monitor sa kanila. Pero nowadays, we lack that power. Kasi again, once na mag-off cam ang bata, or maski on cam, hindi na alam kung ano naman talaga focus niyan eh. I think we are trying to integrate technology here to our issues as teacher. Parang ayun ang nire-resolve natin eh. Paano ako makapagturo? Paano ako makapagbigay ng exam? Ayun, issues naman natin yung mga teachers. Hindi naman talaga yung issue ng edukasyon eh. Pero, I think, in terms of preparation, we can say that we have an average preparation. Kasi nga naman, di natin to in-expect. Di naman talaga natin kakayanin yung ganito kasi yung dating setup na pinag-aralan natin ng 4 na to, nag-OJT pa tayo, may mga field study pa tayo. Nagbabad pa tayo sa sandamakmak na demo sa klase. Wala namang ganito eh. Pero in this case, we are all starting anew kahit gaano pa ka-season yung teacher na yan. Bago lang yung practice na ginagawa niya. Ang mababaon niya lang dito yung content na binaster niya. Ibang-iba yung medium ngayon eh. Pero it's still okay. Kasi nga, we have that benefit na nirush tayo at technically, to produce a good open education system, it takes a couple of years or so. Kaya yung dalawang buwan na yun, tatlong buwan na yun to prepare for this would really not be enough to fully upgrade. So this year, sabi na may palusot pa tayo. But we need to really improve next year. Kasi it's a different year. Anticipate natin yan. Okay? Kasi wala naman nangyaring bago. Wala naman tayong naging improvement pa with our situation. Mas lumala nga. So, expect that it's still distance learning next year. And one area we need to improve is a teacher's digital competence. And literacy, kasi malaki yung impact nito sa bata eh. And it doesn't simply mean na dapat matutunan niya yung particular technology. Well, digital literacy is more concerned about our ability to adapt and implement learning despite this fast trend in technology. Well, it also should allow us to innovate using the trend and not just be a part of it. Siyempre, bukod pa dito yung dapat na may transfer yun sa bata. Well, in this end, maganda yung naging resolution ng DepEd eh. In one of their sessions sa ENSA, DepEd presented their partnership with Microsoft. Kaya nga naka-Office 365 ang lahat ng public school teachers natin eh. Well, Office 365 is considered as a premium service sa Microsoft Office. Kaya try to take advantage of its features. Pero ang problema doon, tayong mga teacher lang naka-Office 365 eh. We can fully maximize the potential of Office 365 if pati bata naka 365. But anyway, medyo costly naman talaga yun. So, we have to settle with what we have. And malaking advantage pa rin naman to eh. Well, in part of that certain partnership, uh, public school teachers are also encouraged to become Microsoft innovative educators. Well, to train them in the ways of online teaching. Sobrang ganda ng tinatahak na itong direction kasi uh, ma-expose sa MS Education yung kaguruan natin eh. Which actually showcases the trend in online learning worldwide. So, as to how we can integrate tools online, it also shows how to uh, make learning proactive in an online setup. And I think the best model that Microsoft Education presents us is this hybrid learning classroom through flipped classroom. So, medyo mahalaga yung ganitong hakbangan ng DepEd. It really benefits a lot of teacher na nag-struggle sa system na to. Pero madalas may problema din tayo sa ganito eh. Kasi unang tanong natin may certificate ba yan? Credited ba yan? Or things like that. Madalas yung certificate ang una nating pinuplont online kapag nakakatanggap tayo. Where in fact, nag-register lang tayo sa webinar, dinisplay lang siya sa background, sumagot lang tayo ng assessment, nagka-certificate na tayo. So while nag-run yung webinar, baka nanonood lang tayo ng K-drama, nanonood lang tayo sa YouTube ng kung ano-ano. Well, we have to get out of that mindset, pero mahirap eh. Like in abroad, wherein they care less about those certification. Dito sa Pinas, tataas lang sahod mo eh pag na-credit yung points ng mga certifications na to eh. Pero as an encouragement na lang, if you go to the global market and you try to sell your skills, hindi ka makakakuha ng ganitong ng mga racket kung certification ang pinapakita mo. You should exercise that skill. You should be able to showcase that skill. And mas concerned sila dun sa accomplishment mo in terms of projects sa portfolio mo. Kaya kahit pa paano may impact pa rin na pag-usayan natin yung training na yon. Kasi hindi man natin siya magamit dito. I know in some place, kung gusto mong kumita ng extra, magagamit mo yun. Kasi talaga kailangan skills. Now, let's ask yourself, where do we exert effort in using technology? Ang tinuturo sa atin, it's not enough to learn technology tools. Kailangan alam din natin kung ginagamit mo ba ito para mas mapadaling ang sistema. Try to analyze this. Ano bang mas madali gawin? Yung ibibigay mo lang link ng lesson, ng mga ready-made lesson sa estudyante mo kapag may instruction ka. O yung ikaw mismo, gagawa ng sarili mong lesson for instruction. Nakadalasang din na-download mo lang yung PowerPoint tsaka content online dahil sa dami ng ginagawa mo. Pero tignan natin yung trend ng mga training natin. Una, paano gumamit ng Photoshop? Paano ma-maximize yung video production sa PowerPoint or sa Filmora? Paano gumamit ng Adobe Premiere? Paano gumamit ng Kahoot, mga iba't ibang assessment tools? So, doon umiikot eh. It's about building your own instructional materials despite the fact na yung gagawin mo at bubuin mo, yung content nun, galing lang online. Well, what I'm saying is, what if we reduce our efforts in providing lectures such that we can focus more on the problems arising, whether it's a student's issue on the lesson of a particular content or a student's issue in the application. We can convert our class hours into a certain forum where We just try to address problems instead of spend time teaching something that they can learn from anywhere else. Okay? Kasi we have that mindset na hindi nila matututunan eh. Pero may point, sabi ko nga may point tayo doon. Pero ang hindi na yung pwede sabihin, yung i-exaggerate yun na lahat yun hindi niya matututunan. Kasi kahit pa paano, may mapipick up at may mapipick up yan eh. Tayo nga may napick up eh. So, by focusing on the gaps na sila mismo nagsasabi to our forums, we can easily rule out yung mga portions ng lesson na alam natin kayang-kaya na nila matutunan eh. We can maximize our time na kasama natin sila, nakausap natin sila by focusing on their problems. But to this end, is this even possible? Take note, ang teacher na may 4 to 5 loads ay humahawak ng more or less 200 students. What if bawat isa sa kanila may tanong? May kailangan i-resolve. Kakayanin ba to i-handle through regular chat? Ma'am, sunod-sunod. 200 yan. What if hindi lang isa yung tanong? So where do we go from here? Maybe it's the best way, it's the best portion na pagtuunan na yung pansin yung paggamit ng technology. Pagbuo ng learner support. Well, the goal in this model is to support learning by creating available channels na pwedeng puntahan ng bata kapag nahihirapan siya. Pero, ito, meron tayong learner support dito. Ngayon, sa modular distance learning at online distance learning. Ang learner support natin, magulang. Well, medyo tricky ito kasi iba yung objective natin bilang teacher but then yung objective ng magulang for their kids. Whether we admit it or not, whether we like it or not. Ang goal natin bilang guro yung matuto yung bata. Pero yung magulang, ang goal niyan, yung makakuha ng magandang grade yung bata eh. So, pag inasa na yung support system sa magulang ng bata, gagawa yan ng paraan para makakuha ng magandang grade yung bata. Whether or not, makonsider nila yung matuto ng bata. Well, for some, it's a good thing na kumuha ng tutor para magtuturo sa bata para yung bata pa rin sasagot ng module. But there are cases na inadmit na rin ng DepEd na yung magulang nagbabayad na lang sasagot ng module. Magulang nagbabayad na lang sasagot ng assessment. Kasi nga, ang goal nila is for their kids to have good grades. They care less about learning. Consider that reality. Ngayon, anong dapat yung kailangan natin baguhin? I'm not saying na kailangan alisin yung magulang bilang learner support. Pero, I think learner support is something na mas kaya nating i-accomplish as teachers eh. Or hindi lang tayo, kahit sino na concerned sa education. Well, let's try to look at Stack Exchange. Okay? Well, Stack Exchange is a website wherein doon mo i-drop yung code mo, yung naging error mo doon, explain mo doon, yung gusto mong problema. Then, a whole community of programmers will try to help you with your code. Well, the community here is quite complex kasi nandito yung mga IT and CS students. Nandiyan din yung mga CS professors. Information technology o computer science yung IT and CS. Well, marami rin dito bumibisita mga junior devs. Mga nagsisimula pa lang sa career nila. Marami rin dito mga senior devs na tsaka engineer. Well, they contribute to learning by creating explanations and solutions to the problems of students. Pero hindi spoon feeding ang bigayan dito. I-explain ko yung concept kung ba't ka mali. Bibigyan kitang hint to guide you to your solution. Sure, Pag may problema ka dito, i-guide ka nila papunta sa tama. Now, is it impossible to implement this one in education? What if we make an education forum? Well, it's possible. I think so. If we manage to make a community where open ang pagtutulungan, we might able to fill in the gaps in the ODL setup. Well, ibang usapan pa rin yung MDL kasi yun nga wala silang access sa internet, wala silang access sa gadgets. So, i-rule out muna natin yung MDL. Mas malalim talaga yung problema nila. Well, sa edu forums nito, we can connect higher education institutions na nag-offer ng teacher education. Kasi yung mga students nila doon, napagdaanan ng K-12, they're training to become teachers. So, wala naman silang yung field study kasi bawal pa. Baka pwede nilang i-moderate to as some sort of their teaching practice. So, in this forum, mabibigyan natin yung solution yung mga FAQs ng mga bata. And magiging community din siya para tulungan natin yung mga pre-service teachers natin na nagte-train pa na para maging teachers. Kasi nakaka-create tayo isang sabihin na nating national community ng mga teachers. Shares about isa. Kumbaga, wala ka ng sense ng school. Kasi, gusto mo pala teacher ka, ano ka na eh, tinutulungan mo na rin pati hindi mo estudyante. Take note, again, sa Stacks Exchange, hindi ito spoon-feeding program na magtanong ka, ibibigay sa'yo sagot. Well, we will let it be a culture where we can spot errors, give necessary hints and steps for students to actually learn how to correct themselves. And by connecting a relatively large community of educators or those who are concerned with education, mas mapapadali yung pagsagot, yung pagtutulungan eh. Well, to this end, I've said a while ago na mayroon akong isang website, a couple of web products. And let me introduce it here. It's askkuya.com. And its goal is actually the same as what I've presented in the previous slide, to connect all concerned people in education and create a forum wherein you can freely respond to gaps in learning. Sinimulan namin to ng mga classmates ko noong January, but we started as a question and answer web app. And we managed to conduct a couple of tutor sessions by creating a tutor group. Well, we also managed to respond to around 200 questions in our initial phase. Pero around February, nag-reconstruct kami kasi parang feeling namin hindi namin kakayanin mag-scale ng ganun. And again, we use the model of Stacks Exchange. So we reconstructed the app to be social media-like. So everyone in education can register here. Tapos sa pagsagot ng forum, anyone can answer the forum, especially if you're registered as a teacher. So ngayon, nagsisimula pa lang kami. So we started last February. Right now, we're going to our second month. And as of now, we have around 70 members, which is a mixture of students, tapos education students, mga student teacher na, tapos kami, mga teacher talaga. Well, you can help us grow by reaching to our site, askkuya.com, and encourage your students as well to participate in our forums. Pag meron silang gaps, they can post their questions in our forum para sama-sama na yung pagtulungan tong issue na to. Kumbaga kami tumutulong lang din para ma-resolve yung problema sa edukasyon. Now, this is a sample ng forum namin. Mga nagtatanong tungkol sa research, paano ba ako magpabalid ng questionnaire. Kaya, sa research title, ano ba yung appropriate na method? You see, the questions here is not really that sort of na pang multiple choice na makaka-perfect ka sa test pag sinagot namin. Because we try to filter out yung mga ganong forum post dahil hindi siya bagay sa ganitong sistema. So instead of responding to your forum post with answer, we respond with tips, hints, para kayo mismo yung makasagot nun. Well, may maayos na support system, highly competent and trained na teachers when it comes to distance learning. Maging sapat ba to for the whole learning setup to succeed? Now, let's go back to my story. Tinake ko yung mga courses ko just to survive this pandemic. Because I believe it's my closest way to survive para kumita ng pera. Second, kumikita ako whenever I learn new tricks in machine learning. So I'm earning from it. Well, it's a different case when it comes to school children. They are forced into this scenario. Ang choice lang na meron sila ay yung pumili ng strand sa senior high. Dagdag pa natin, syempre, wala silang baon. Plus, yung wala na silang ina-anticipate na kalaro during break or during uyan. Those things play as factors. Now, if we think about COVID, meron tayong mas malaking problema eh. The bigger problem that the world is experiencing right now yung kawalan ng taste ng estudyante para mag-aral. Well, willing tayo mag-adjust kasi trabaho natin to, at pag hindi tayo nag-adjust, tanggal ka sa trabaho ng kakainin ng pamilya natin. The same with those in the industries, they have to survive. Pero yung mga bata, yung mga estudyante, hindi nila maramdaman importance ng edukasyon ngayong pandemya. Nawala yung presence ng tao kaya mang-uto sa kanila or mag-motivate sa kanila to study. Kasi sa school, maski may dalang cellphone ang bata, di yung makapag-email kapag oras ng klase. Kasi kita sila ng teacher. Ngayon, pag nag-off cam yan, wala na. At think about it, between using your phones, your gadgets for studies during free time, mas pipiliin mo ba yun over mag-ML, gumamit na social media, or manood ng movies, K-drama? I don't think so. Tapos, andyan pa yung mga streamers sa YouTube na kumikita ng malaki na di naman ginamit yung pinag-aralan nila para kumita. Well, yung kita nila mas malaki as compared to those persons na nakagraduate, na pinahalagan yung pag-aaral. Andyan din yung malaking success stories like Manny Pacquiao. Kaya mga businessman na hindi naman talaga ginamit yung pinag-aralan nila. Pero ang di nakikita ng mga bata ay yung fact na yung nakikita nila sa surface na success stories ay yung mga outlier lang dun sa mga hindi nakapag-aral, hindi pinalagan yung pag-aaral. Kasi, let's say, out of 100 na di gumraduate, na hindi pinalagan yung pag-aaral, siguro, isa lang dyan yung magsasucceed. Pero majority of those who failed to finish college, failed to prioritize their education, would fail. Totoo naman talaga na hindi diploma yung maging susi sa success story mo eh. Pero it gives you that advantage against the rest na di nakapag-aral. Well, it gives you that higher probability to overcome failure. Hindi siya as in pag nakapag-aral ka, wala na siyang chance po mag-fail. But formal education is a good safeguard against failure. Formal education is not really the key to success, but it's a good safeguard to failure. Pinapataas na nito yung probability natin na hindi tayo lumagpak sa buhay. Now, with this, we should focus on the use of technology in motivating students kasi ito yung mas malaking problema in making them feel productive and still relevant to today's scenario. Ibang-iba kasi pag face-to-face Aminin man natin o hindi, meron tayong parang aura. Naramdam ng mga bata pag di sila sumusunod sa task natin. Parang feeling nila may masamang mangyayari. Maski andyan yung child protection policy, we have our ways as teachers to intimidate our students without resolving to corporal and psychological punishments. Nandyan yung indirectly silang mapapahiya or indirectly na mararamdaman nila na nai-intimidate sila. Pero hindi sila makapagreklamo kasi wala ka namang ginawa Ramdam lang nila yon. And we really have that kind of power when it comes to face-to-face discussions. Ngayon, maganda yung direction dito ng DepEd kasi right now they're trying to enhance programming and digital product design as stated sa NSET. Yung pag-aaral dito medyo ginagawa nilang more intensive. And with this, some students will feel relevant kasi yung mga projects na gagawin nila would be something applicable sa online scenario. Now, to summarize my points, it gives you the following insights. One is for us to give time or exert effort in resolving gaps and issues using technology, even if we have to reduce instruction. Second is to motivate students by making students feel relevant with the use of technology. Okay? So, ito lang yung mga points na gusto kong ibahagi sa inyo. And by the way, before I end this lesson, this short program is available at our Facebook page. But if you want to experience the full lesson with assessment, you can visit askway.com/learn. Well, we will be giving instructions after receiving our registration. And again, I'm Kevin, and that's the end of my presentation.